Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, continuing to take a look at the next week's slate, heading back out to the Big Ten. Rutgers heading on the road to play the Iowa Hawkeyes. And if you're a fan of a lot of points being scored, a lot of touchdowns being put up on the board, this is probably not a game for you. You're looking at two of the better defenses, not only in the Big Ten, but in the country, and two offenses that, from explosive metrics, points per game metrics, not exactly prolific offenses that we're going to be seeing. Looking at this Rutgers team, I want to talk about them first. This is a team that, as a Big Ten fan and Michigan fan myself, used to being the Rutgers is kind of the bye week, right? An easy win. You kind of go about your business. What Greg Schiano has done over the last couple of years, he's transformed this program. And this is a Rutgers team that has an identity of physicality, of running the football and playing really good defense. And as a Michigan fan, if you were to ask me, what team would you not want to play again from the first half of our schedule? It would be this Rutgers team. You'd ask Ohio State the same question. They give you the same answer. You go back and watch that Ohio State game. Rutgers outgained Ohio State, had more first downs than Ohio State, controlled the ball longer than Ohio State. I get the box score 35-16. This is a Rutgers team that just outplayed the number one team in the country last week in Ohio State. This is a legit team that has an identity. Really excited to get into this one. Before we do, just want to say, one, thank you to you guys. The amount of support you guys have shown the boys for all of these game breakdowns, it truly does mean a lot. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And more importantly, would love to hear from you guys in the comment section. Picks, predictions, keys to the game, throw them in there. And without further ado, let's get into this one. And I want to start with this Rutgers offense. And when I say they have an identity, I'm not saying Rutgers is going to be scoring the 45 points per game, right? This is a team that scores 23.6 points per game. That's 82nd in the country, 5 yards per play. But when you play Rutgers, it's no secret what they want to do when they have the football, and that's run, right? Kyle Monungai, probably the best player on the football, offensive player, I should say, on the football field this Saturday, averaging 5.5 yards per carry, runs the rock extremely hard. Gavin Wimsatt can make some things happen as well. This is a team runs 61% of their offensive snaps. That's number 12 in the country, and they do a damn good job of it, and they wear teams down. Like, there's not many teams when I've watched Michigan say, Michigan just won the point of attack, we're kind of playing some bully ball. We didn't exactly play bully ball against Rutgers because they're a physical team that plays extremely hard. If you're a Rutgers fan, like what's being built in Piscataway, I think it has to be so exciting because this is a team that has an identity. It's going in the right direction. I'm fired up about what Rutgers is doing. Now, you look at Iowa's defense, it's elite. Death Tax is Phil Parker putting out an elite defense. It's a team that 13.7 points per game allowed. That's number 4 in the country. Only 3.9 yards per play, number 2 in the country. Against the run, they've been very stingy, 3.2 yards per carry allowed. I think Nick Jackson and Jay Higgins represent one of the better linebacker duos, not only in the Big Ten, but in the country. And then through the air, it's the best secondary in the country, allowing a 56% completion percentage. That's number 21 in the country. Only 4.8 yards per pass. That's number 2. Sebastian Castro, Cooper DeJean. Absolute walking seatbelts in the back end. I don't think Rutgers is going to test this secondary very often. At least I wouldn't, because turnovers are going to be a key in this game. Keep the ball on the ground, get what you can, and kind of keep the ball out of harm's way, I think, is the key to Rutgers. That's the key to them winning football games throughout this season. I think you see a lot more of that against an Iowa Hawkeyes defense that is very, very good at taking the ball away when you try to attack them through the air. Now, flipping sides, Rutgers defense, phenomenal. 19.8 points per game. That's 23rd in the country. Only 4.5 yards per play. That's number 10 in the country. And for Rutgers fans, that's not a loaded stat. You've played Michigan. You've played Ohio State. Those are teams that have solid offenses. Rutgers has done a very good job at stopping some of these prolific offenses. You look at what they do against the run, allowing only 3.8 yards per carry. Muhammad Toure playing extremely good football at the linebacker position. And then in the secondary, only 5.5 yards per pass. That's number 3 in the country. Flip Dixon playing phenomenal football. You could name a bunch of guys in the secondary that have played really good football for Rutgers. You're looking at 2 of the best secondaries in the country. Now, you look at Iowa's offense. this is where, and I don't need to remind Iowa fans, like it's ugly, right? I mean, there's a reason Brian Ferentz is not going to be retained at the end of the season. 18.4 points per game. It's 115th, only 3.9 yards per play, 132nd. My biggest problem with this Iowa offense is it doesn't have an identity. Rutgers, although it's not the most explosive offense that you see, it has an identity, and that's running the football at a high level. Iowa, they run the football 58% of the time. That's 20th in the country, but only for 3.5 yards per carry. That's 110th. And you look at it, I don't think they're running it because we're really good at running it. I think it's more running it because we don't want our quarterback throwing the football. Because when you do throw the football, it's a 45% completion percentage. That's 132nd in the country and only 4.9 yards per pass. Also 132nd in the country. One of the worst passing offenses in the country. A lot of their key guys, Luke Lachey, Eric, all out with injuries, season ending. It's just not, there's not a ton of confidence to be had in this Iowa offense. Now, you look at keys to the game. I think turnovers are going to be huge. Like you do not want to give the opposing offense a short field. 3 points on a 28.5-point spread is going to be massive. So you're looking at whoever wins the turnover battle, I think is a massive storyline in special teams, right? I mean, Iowa is one of the better special teams programs in the country for years now because they've had to rely on that. So you look at stuff like special teams turnovers being a massive story in this game because both offenses, it's going to be tough sledding against really elite defenses. Getting to the pick, the over-under sitting at 20.5, that's about as low as I've ever seen. I'm going to ride with Rutgers here. And that's because you asked me what team and what unit do I have more confidence in? This Iowa offense or this Rutgers offense? And I have more confidence in this Rutgers offense. I mean, they moved the ball against an elite Ohio State defense last week. Obviously, turnovers hurt them really bad, settling for field goals. When I look at it, they have an identity, and that's running the football. In Iowa, I mean, there's just not much identity or not much any proven concept of what works in this offense. It's going to be a tight one. Give me Rutgers to score just a little bit more points than the Iowa Hawkeyes. As a Big Ten fan, like you got to be fired up about this one. I'm going to take Rutgers as the slight road dog in this one. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. Again, if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.